Okay. So what we're looking at here today, right now, is the high-level planning board. Now, our high-level planning board is initially where the Sassad will be planning the production works orders and then generating a plan for the actual sewing lines to actually produce the garments. So, as you can see, it's quite visual, lots of different colours on there. So what we're looking at really is, and along the top, we've got like our days of the week to help them plan. Each one of these lines you see here is an actual order itself with the time scale of how long the order will be taken to produce, along with any activities that go along with the order. Then down at the bottom down here, what you see is our factories. So we have Bahir, Kasserine, Ijeway, El Fayoum, and their capacities that are available to the planners. So from here, the planners can actually see where they have issues of overloading and then where they have free capacity to plan more orders. Okay? So the top half of this screen, where I said we have the orders. All these orders come with many different colors. Okay? Few sides.
Sorry. We get one side. Yeah, all the merchandising from Catherine.
Everyone is in it.
All the merchandisers from all the factories accessible to. Yeah, we connected as much as we can.
Every single one of them. Okay, no pressure then. Okay. So yeah, as I was saying, so on the top half here where we have our strips strips are orders, our production orders. You have many different visual representations, and they all mean different things. They're all warning signs to say that we have issues, okay? So the only one on this list here is actually good, is this one here, which is in grey. Grey to us means great, everything is good, we have no problems, we're going to be able to produce and manufacture on time, okay? Whereas we have these ones here, that's blue, that means we're actually going to miss our delivery. So whatever Saad's doing in the production, he needs to make some changes. He needs to do something to make sure we can meet our delivery dates. Okay? And then the ones down here, which are probably going to be more relevant to you guys, the merchandisers, where they're all orange, they're orange because we have key critical events on our time and action that are yet to be completed. Okay? That means someone in the merchandise or follow-up team needs to action these items to make sure we can ensure our delivery on time. Okay? So I'm going to just quickly show you what happens when we sort of like start to play around with these orders and how they will affect them and make sure that we can have them on time. So let's take this one for example. Okay? When I currently click on it and I move it along, we'll start to see a few color changes. What we're looking at here is this long yellow bar here represents our entire time and action plan. Okay? So it's saying that roughly we should be starting our time and action, well in the past actually, we should have started our first actions by the end of the 10th of May. That's when we should have completed our very first initial event. So maybe first samples or PO approval, whatever that may be. We should have done that by then. Then we're saying all this time here, roughly about maybe a month, is our total time and action. And then this little bit here is just our production time, and then along with any post-production, so i.e. your sewing, your cutting, your ironing, if it requires some printing and embroidery, it all represents in this long strip. So initially what we're saying that the entire order, the time taken to complete this order is maybe, 2 months from the point of when we initially received the inquiry from the customer all the way to actually the delivery is going to take us from the 10th of May to the 20th of June. So just shy of 2 months. Okay? So that was just you guys will only ever use this for visibility, okay? The planners will have full control of this. You guys can only ever really come in here to have a read-only view of what the capacity and the situation is. But the area that you will be utilizing is what we call the pre-production planning board. Now I'm going to just go into that for you. Let me drop that strip down. Yeah. So this is what we call our pre-production planning board. Okay, so kind of similar to the planning board that the planners will use, but this is specifically here for the merchandising and the follow-up teams. Okay, so what we have down the left-hand side are our order codes. So here we have a few examples for TCP, Promodor, Hard Rock Cafe. And then these bars here, if I double click on one of them, oh, have we lost connection? Bear with me a second, we seem to have lost connection again.
The security key or the
Yeah, no, it's the
No, it's the network.
the network connection keeps dropping. So, apologies, just bear with me a second. Okay, sorry about that. So back to where I was. Okay. So as I was saying before, down here we have our list of orders, and again we have these visual representations of the timescales of all our events. So our target dates of when we should be following up these actions and making sure we can approve them so we get them in time for production. Okay. So I've just got a few examples here of events, but here's where you would have your full list of all your follow-up actions that you need to do to achieve on-time delivery and make sure your customer gets their requested delivery date. Okay, so quite simply, we just have each one of them has a block which is underlined by date. So to actually set one of these and say you've completed them, you would come in here, you simply double-click on that line, and then that would remove it from your list, and that would say I've completed this event. It would make a record of the day that you completed it on, so 16th of the 5th, and then it will we can then use that for our KPI analysis and then see which events we're doing on time, which we're doing late, and how these all affect our actual production and when we can actually go ahead with production. Because if we don't have all of these activities complete before production starts, then the site can't actually go through ahead and actually begin sewing. Okay, so all this area is pretty key to actual chasing up and ensuring all our activities are done on time. Okay. Save. Okay, so once I've double-clicked on that and hit save, it's got a little tick there, if you can see it. I don't know if you can see it too well, but it has a little tick there just to say this activity has been done. We can now move on to the next steps, and the next steps are maybe continue, go on and so forth until we get to the point where we can actually begin production. So this is just one of the views. So if you're the sort of order-oriented person, you could look at it by list of orders. However, we also have what we call the executive view. So what that would do instead is, if I can see it too well. Okay. So instead of having the list of orders, we can have it listed by names. So here we would have, okay, we've only got Mr. Shekhar here, he's the only one with any activities or any tasks to do, but we could all have your names listed down here with every single activity of who needs to do what and when they need to do it by. So then you can come into here at the beginning of your day and just see all my orders that I need to action, all the maybe samples I need to follow up with, and all the style development activities that I also need to achieve. So to do that, we should again double click on the line with our name against it, and then we can see the activities, all the activities we need to do, and then the orders number that we need to do it for, and when we need to do it by. So again, it just gives us a nice graphical view and telling us exactly when we need to do it. So it gives you, so I imagine most of you have probably got your Excel spreadsheets with your Gantt charts that have something very similar to this. This is just exactly that, but within a system. So there's one central system that you all log into that allows you to see your activities, everyone else's activities, and you can follow up those together. And then we all have reporting that we can pull off the back of this to then give to managers so they also know what's going on and how up to date we are. Okay.
How will you update one activity?
Sorry?
How will you update one activity? And
So yeah, that's just a double click. So yeah, again, I'll show you again. So again, to update activity, so once it's come to the day when you've done it and you know you've done it, just again, double click on your line, the activity you want to do, simple double click, you get this little message saying event updating pending update. Then we hit save, and then that saves that we've done that, completed that activity. In the example whereby you've followed up your event, so it's a sample that you know you're meant to have sent out, but you've run into an issue whereby you can't, the sample's not been produced on time, but you expect it to come maybe 2 days from now, a week from now. What you can do is you can override the initial target date that's been set to you by system. You can put in a new date to say, okay, maybe I'm not going to be able to do it today, however, I will be able to do it tomorrow or the following day. So we can override those dates by simply clicking on our activity. So I'm going to choose this one. And then what we can do here is say set expected date for training in this example. Set expected date. So now we can change the date from whenever it was originally requested to whenever we know we can actually do it, when we can actually achieve it. So to notify not just the production team, but everyone else that's looking at this order, when it's actually going to be achieved, so we can have foresight and visibility of any issues that may arise by moving this date outwards.
I have a suggestion, Chief.
Yep.
Omnia can give us sample of 2 or 3 activities maximum for product development.
Yep.
So we can follow. Can we get
Right now, no. Let's finish with this, with showing the planning board, and then we're going to go to the area where we add all the activities in the critical part.
So
I'll let you know when. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll plug in some activities as well, so you can, like you said, follow it, and then we'll get some real life examples in there as well. Okay.
This is in the case when you are, for example, working with fitting samples, and you're waiting for comments from the customer, and then the date arrived when you are not yet getting comments from the customer. You call the customer, and then you put an expected delivery when the customer is going to come back to you with those fitting samples approvals or fitting comments at least. So in this area, you can add that.
Okay. So, off the back of all of this, once you're doing your daily activities, you've sort of gone through the rigmarole of updating the events, saying that we've completed, or when our new expected dates. We have a couple of reports, okay, that we can run off the back of these. Now, some of the reports I've got in system now are very basic, and we can, amend them to how you guys want to utilize them to make sure they look similar to what you already have. So I'm just going to show you some examples of the things that we can pull from the system, okay? So things like customer tracking. So if we want to see the delivery dates and the production start dates for all our orders by customer, that's one thing we can do. So if you have customer accounts that you're in charge of, one of the good ones is this. So I'm going to preview print.
First page.
There's quite a few actually on this. So it's a bit small, no one's going to be able to see that. Oh, a bit too big. Okay, so again, like I said, this is a very simple report. We've got all our customers going down the left-hand side, so we've got our Levi's, Hard Rock Cafe. Then we've got our order numbers, so order codes. So again, you can follow up by customer, and you can see our delivery dates, when we plan on start sewing, when we plan on completing sewing. So then you can obviously send these out to your customers and say, this is when we expect to receive, we expect to start your orders, and this is when you expect to achieve your deliveries and our progress that we've made, if we've made any. So when we've got quantities made, percentage of our orders to ship, we can also send that out. So again, these are just very simple standard reports that you'll be able to email directly from system, no longer sitting in Excel spreadsheets, manually chasing people up and then saying, where's this order, what's happening, how many have you made? You can just go directly to the system yourselves and run the report and then send it from there. Even if you do want to, however, obviously go into Excel, make a few changes, because everybody likes to change the numbers every now and then. I know. We can export this data to an Excel spreadsheet for a few manipulations if required. Okay? So now it's your turn to give me the activities. Okay, so I'm going to show you where we set up the activities. So what activity events do you currently track? You say, let's go.
Status.
So let's go for what customer are you in charge of?
Like Alpha, for example.
Alpha. Okay. So what events do you follow or chase up with? Approvals.
Production status.
Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to go into now is the setup area of the activities, and I'm just going to. So again, I just added a couple of these based on what we talked about earlier in workshops. So we've got things like PA samples, PO approvals. Any other samples that you'd work?
PP samples.
PP samples, yeah, okay.
Development or
For your production?
Yeah.
Yeah. When does your PP sample happen in your chain of events?
Before production.
Before production? How many days before production roughly?
At least 1 month.
A month before production.
Yeah,
Okay.
not the approval. We submit PP samples before the production by about 1 month.
1 month. Okay.
We have to get the approval within 1 week before production.
So you send out your PP sample 1 month before, and then the approval comes in.
Yeah, because we have to consider in case we have any comments or revising.
Yeah. So 1 week
we have
before.
enough time, yeah.
Before production.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll add a second activity there for PAP approval. So first one is just our PP sample. Okay, so I've added that to the list. You can see it there, just add it to the list. And then I'll say the PP approval as well. Okay. Another event. Okay.
Before preparation start.
Tell a lie. Yeah, that's correct. Not another event. Okay.
The offset or duration?
I'll do it against the calendar.
Okay.
Calendar, the timetable. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, so we've created our event. Now I'm going to do is associate it to a timetable. Now timetables are basically a list of activities and events you need to achieve for a specific customer. For example, say if your alpha customer required more samples than maybe Hard Rock Cafe, you could have a specific template for alpha and one specific template for Hard Rock Cafe. So you can do many different activities on both. You don't have to do the same on all your customers, okay? So I'm just going to go into our timetables. See, we've already created a couple where we've done Levi's. So we'll say add another one for alpha. And it's production. So insert there. So again, so it's given me the full list of activities from the actual setup that I created. Now in here, this here is where I can start remove and say which is relevant and which is not relevant to my alpha template. So I'm going to remove some of the ones that we created earlier. So it's quite simple, just saying if I double click on this cell here, it removes that from it says the skipped. So that means these two activities at the bottom aren't relevant to my alpha template. So when any order that's linked to this alpha template would not have these two activities associated to it. Okay? So as you were saying that, it was the PP approval that you must have before production starts. Yep. So what I'm going to do is make that PP approval a critical event. So to do that again, it's quite simple. Just see there, the color coding, critical of orange. So we're going to set this one PP approval as critical. So therefore, on the planning board, when the planners are planning, if they plan before we've actually got our PP approval, it will warn them and say, you can't plan here. This is too early, you've not got any approvals, okay? So you'd be able to see that where you've currently got it isn't achievable without having to chase any merchandise to see if you've got approvals, because if they've updated the system correctly, then you would know without having to ask anybody, okay? Yep.
When I plan to make one order,
Yep.
for example, order, it's not approved. It show to me this one after the
Yes,
what
so-
do you see?
Yeah, so it'd say, you'd get this orange swatch saying that it's not approved yet. So you'd be able to see that.
Ah.
So you would know before, when you plan on the order, it'll say, not approved, you can't do this. Okay. And it was, what's the date? So let's get rid of that. PP approval, 1 week, so that's 7 days. And then PP sample, we said 1 month, was it? The PP sample. Yeah. So that's all I've done there, say, add the durations, say, PP approval, 1 week before the start, and then PP sample, 1 month before we start.
Minus.
Yeah, it's minus actually. Good spot. And then this bit here, again, quite important, the user. So user is going to be, so where I pick out my list of merchandisers, who specifically is going to be responsible for this activities. So again, that's another way you can pick up by customer, who's going to be responsible for this customer, who's going to be responsible for the other customers. So again, I don't think we've got any users. Okay, we've got a couple. There we go. It's the side that's coming out in your name. You're a merchandiser now. Okay, so I update that. Now, if I go back to my plan again, find an order on the plan, I'm going to associate my timetable that we just created to an order. Okay. Again, you wouldn't be doing this manually. We would have this set up in the background whereby it's done already for you. Okay.
You can add the timetable, Sherry, Shakir. You can add the timetable into interfaces.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do so. You could come straight from the ERP if you wanted to.
Yeah. And Naya, is the pre-production activities related to an order or textile?
Related to the style.
The style.
To the style even.
Yeah.
That's why it's going out. It's going to.
Okay, so you'd want. But these are only on new developments, or would you do it on every single style?
No, new developments.
Only new developments. So any activities you do specifically for an order? Every time you get a new order, or is it just?
No, every time I get a new style.
Just a new style. Okay. So when you do on style development, it's similar to the way we do it for orders anyway. It's just you have a different linking point to your events. So they'll be based off, still again 1 month before production start.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a quick turnaround. Okay. So I've just associated that again. So you see, when I associated that timetable to the order, it immediately gave it this long tail again to signify that we now have critical path events to follow, or events to follow up on. Again, a month before we need to get production start, we need to have done already our PP sample, it needs to be sent out and then get our approvals. So if I right click and go to our event reports, okay, so what we've got here is we're saying PP sample based on the fact where we planned already and it needs to be 30 days before. We should have actually done it by the 20th of April based on where this order's been planned and where we plan on doing production. Therefore, we're actually already 26 days late. So someone needs to do something about that. Something needs to happen, okay? So that's the warning sign we're getting. So therefore, we realistically, it's already been planned, bad order. So realistically, we're saying that we can't achieve that, hence why it's already yellow. Instead of the grey colour to say it's okay, it's gone yellow because it's already late. So this is where you would get your warnings to say the critical path event that's been assigned to this hasn't been achieved yet.
We'll cut it and without getting the approval. And the accessories.
I'm sure they will have something to say about that. We'll make it happen. Okay. That won't stop you. I can't stop you.
The grey and the light.
You'll achieve. You'll make the achievements. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You don't need approval, so you'll make it happen. Okay.
And this is the technical department and merchandiser will update us about those approvals.
They wouldn't even need to. As long as they come into the system and update the activities, all you need to do is click on your order and then view the report. So you just go to event report and then you can see from here whether it's been completed or not. So you just go, you'll be able to see all the dates that they needed to have achieved. And if they haven't achieved them, you can then start saying, why haven't you done this? Where's this approval? Where's this sample? Who's doing what?
So we must make it reflected in the ERP. The styles, all the styles must be approved or not approved.
Yes.
In ERP.
You can do it in the ERP and then we can send it across, or they can come into system and update it as well. It's up to however users feel best.
The button that we can
Do you already set these style approvals in the ERP?
Yeah.
So you can send a date of when it's been approved?
No, because it's related, it's the chain of events.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better to follow FastReact in this area.
Okay, so
you can update the chain of events because we are different users.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Pre-production, lab dev, and everything is a different user. Something in the sample is wrong. So if you could also segregate the approvals or the events update per user, so each user can have the accessibility.
Yes, there is
functions.
Yes, the reason why I can see all of it is because I'm, FRS. But for users, they would only ever see your activities, and then they would never be the case of the entire list.
And the merchandiser manager can see the whole chain of events.
Yes, yeah, we can signify who's the manager of who, and then who can see what.
That's where IT department handle the user groups.
Yeah.
And give the rights to serve to by level per user.
Can you do an example after we finish this session?
Yeah.
For the user entry per function.
Yeah, okay.
Especially for the merchandisers.
Yes.
Merchandiser and merchandiser manager.
Yes, we can do that. Yeah, we can go for that. Yeah.
But please show them per style. If you could turn around the
no problem.
planning code per style.
So per style. So again, let's go back. Let's create some events for our style. Okay. Okay. We've got a couple of events for our styles. Bulk dye lot approval, trim color shades. Sound familiar? No? Yeah? Yeah. So we've already got those two. Okay, so I'll use these two then as our examples. Against our launch date. So roughly what's the time frame for those to happen? Do you know?
Before approval? Before production?
Do you have a set date that needs to happen? No?
That's why. Then both time was approved.
So,
You son of this.
1 week, 1 to 2 weeks.
2 weeks before production?
Yeah.
Wow, this is very, very close, no? I expect it to be months before, okay.
The t-shirts.
Yeah, t-shirts, it's a simple style, yeah, of course. Quick turnaround. Okay, so let's put that there. Let's go to one of our styles. Let's find a style. Okay, so against our style, you guys will never need to worry about most of this. This is all planning functionality. So you'd only ever need to notice the style number. So if it's a new style development, specify the timetable again. So in this case, I'm going to go for Levi's. You may have one for per customer, whatever it may be.
Question here, Chef.
Yep.
Could you display the style description beside the style number? This will help
So you can see the style description there.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a LVG metallic something batwing T.
Yep. It's coming through the interface.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, the interface files.
Yeah.
Lucky because the interface files of the style of the products, they don't have our characters.
Yes. So then it comes through clean. Yeah. Okay. And then the last thing you'd need to select. Oh, why did I not select? Is a date, an event date, what we call a launch date. So this is the date that everything needs to be done by, completed. You need to define that to say maybe a month away from now, or in your case, 1 week from now. You'd say 1 week from now, this is when all the activities need to be completed by, and this is the date we're working towards. This is just sort of like your initial target date. So once I select it, so where are we? Let's say, I'm going to give 2 weeks because I don't trust the 1 week you guys say. You update.
This is when you receive a new product development from your customer. You are in the phone with your customer, and then your customer wants to know dates when things are going to be ready. When I'm going to receive first fitting samples. When I'm going to receive first, material approvals or trims or colors, color shading, stuff like that. So just by adding the timetable into the product style, the system will already generate those dates for you. For example, today is 15 or 16? 16. It's
16,
going to count 2 weeks from today date, which is the launch date in the system for the new product development. It's going to count those 7 or 14 days, and it's going to give the dates, exact dates, for every activity for you to quickly generate a report and then give it to customer. You will not be worrying about checking and counting the days in the calendar anymore. The system will do it automatically for you when you select a proper timetable that is already set up with all those days that you are defining today. Because you're telling us, okay, from launch date, I need to do this activity in 2 weeks. I need 7 days, I need 14 days, I need 30 days, I need 45 days for one activity sequenced by another activity. So that's what the system is going to give you, the ability to calculate automatically.
It should do. There we go. Don't know why I did that. Okay, so based on the achievement date that I set, which was, I believe, 2 weeks from now, it's then generated the actual target dates for when each bulk dialog approval needs to happen and trims color shade. So it's saying roughly the 14th, is that 14th? Yeah, 14th of May and the 25th of May. These are the dates generated by the date I've selected. Then the system obviously also calculates backwards from my date I need everything to be finished by, these set 5 days and the 7 days, the 14 days, to give me all my achievement dates that I need to achieve, and then I can send these to my customer to say, this is when we expect all of these to happen, and we should be able to hit an achievement, or we should be able to hit our production confirmation dates. Okay?
Do we say that a lead time for an event once and it reflects on all orders?
Yes.
So if we have to get the approval for PP samples, for example, before 7 days before production, it reflects to all customers?
Yes, depending on how you want it. So you can do it for all customers, or you can do it for individual customers.
How can
Choice
we
is
do it
yours.
for individuals?
So you would create a new template, like I said. So where I've got one for Levi's. So in that example where I've got one for Levi's, you would create another one for Alpha, and then you create another one for Hard Rock Cafe. And for each one of those, you can then specify the lead time for those customers.
And what can we set up for all customers?
Then you would create one template called all, and then you would associate that to all customers. So again, it depends on which way you guys feel necessary to manage it. If it's an activity that's always going to be the same, then you can have it against all. Or if it's different by customer, you create a template for each individual customer, and then every customer from there, all the orders for that customer will have that lead time. Okay.
But she must make each stage of event يعني pre-production sample, feed sample.
Yes.
Or she can make 1 month for all approvals.
I would say I think the best way to do it would be individually, because then you have better visibility of all the activities, events that are happening. Because if you do just one big event, then how do you know which sample specifically is late? Is it for which customer? It's too vague. It's too generic. It doesn't give you the detail of who I need to be chasing specifically. So having an event for each one gives you better tracking and better visibility of what's going wrong. Okay.
أمنية فاكرة 300 فيلد اللي احنا زودناهم بير ستار عشان دول؟ السامبلز وامتى جت وامتى مشيت وكريم هيعمل ايه 300,000 حاجه اللي زودناهم ومفيش اي حد حط فيهم اي داتا لحد دلوقتي.
هنحطه؟
لا هنحطهم هنا.
ماشي.
شريف قضى نص عمر حياته فيها.
هيعملوهم في الاي ار بي والفاست رياكت ولا
لا نعملها فاست رياكت. نعملها فاست رياكت عشان كريتيكال باث. عشان تقولي لي بقى دي خلصت دي ما خلصتش ما عندناش الفيتشر بتاع الكريتيكال باث في فممكن نبنيهم بعد ما نخلص نديهم لسه الايفنتس تاني وهنعرفهم في الفاست رياكت.
ماشي شريف
ونمشي شريف بقى. هو لسه ما جاش اصلا.
Do you want us to set up the critical path list of events together?
Yeah.
Maybe we can bring the board so we can list them out by days and add the offsets.
Yeah.
Or we can we bring them?
بياخد الداتا بيانات الاوردر الستايل بيانات بيكتب كلها طب يلا نجيب بيانات وانا زمان شغال ازاي شغالين ما فهمت عليها انت شغال زمان ولا بيوريله مشاريعه في اي مكان هو زي كده الجزائريين ولا الفنانين هو بيقرا البيانات يعني الستايل والرقم لا كل حاجه مش في سنة الأولى يعني زي بتكتب مفايات كده كل الدكتور انت عايزاه فيه اللي جاي ايوه مش كده يا زلمه
إجابة. أنا ببص لك بس. أنا عشان كده مسمياه.
لازم
يعني انا حسبتها على مانوال او على تاب الكالكوليتر فاضل كام يوم عشان شحن محتاجه ادخله على السيستم ده انا عملت
هو اوريدي موجود على السيستم. هو انت مش هتدخلي حاجه
بس انا دخل الديت كل حاجه دخلها المواعيد كل حاجه
هو الاوردر بيبقى مستخدم البيانات مش انت بتقوم جايه يقرا البيانات اللي موجوده وتظهرها لك على الشاشه. هذا التأكد لأي بيانات على الفصل هي أوريدي واخدها من هي
هنجيب السيستم ميه بقى. احنا هنجيب السيستم ميه واثنين نسكافيه. محدش يتضايق.
لا أنا هتضايق.
محدش يتضايق ولا حد يروح.
بعد
وهيسنقوا ملوش
لسه كنا بنشكر في المشكلة.
Sorry? Oh, did you want? We said you wanted to split and t-shirt. Yeah. Okay.
To focus that, so we don't make a mistake. Which kind of activities are the activities that are related to when preparation start?
Product type, and then we would create a generic product for the, polo shirt for Levi's, and then we would put a quantity, like based off your master plan. If you remember that conversation, yep. Okay. So a forecast is similar to a normal order. You receive it comes into the system. You plan it on the board. You plan it onto a group.
After finishing the official orders, the
You begin,
forecast will be at the end.
Yes. So in this case, I've got one here for August. Yeah. This is my forecast. Okay. So when
This is the forecast?
Yeah, so the way you can tell it's a forecast is that instead of black, it's in blue, okay? So when the forecast comes in, you plan the forecast. Later on down the line, when the confirmed orders now to come in to replace that forecast, the way we would do that is you go into the load list, okay? And then the way that it's highlighted, let me just filter.
It's easy to make it
Okay.
from this channel because the number is separate.
Yep.
This
So what this means is that this confirmed order,
this confirmed.
this is a confirmed order,
Yeah.
but this confirmed order has already it's already
already like this
linked
number.
to a forecast.
Yes.
So this individual confirmed order, I can link it back to my forecast. Okay. So just by double clicking on this confirmed order, it tell me that currently I already have a forecast of 1,100 pieces planned against my group, and this quantity I want to replace it with for my confirmed order of 228.
Yeah.
Okay? So what it's going to do is it's automatically going to place this confirmed order in this place and forecast.
It's very good.
Yeah. So all we have to do then say update.
Okay. So the forecast now will be declared on this.
Yes. Let's see. Is that going? Have I got too much in my balance here? Order quantity. Allocate to less than. Okay, my quantity. I've done it incorrect. Apologies. There we go. I've over substituted. My quantities are too big. So let me just change that example slightly.
So we don't need to deduct the forecast manually.
No, no. So it would just because I've done the quantities incorrectly. So we'll do it again. There we go. So it's taking it from the load list. You don't need to plan it. You don't need to deduct it manually. My forecast automatically removed, and it will shorten. So yeah, my forecast is there's still some remaining, but it's deducted. That's all we wanted to show you really. So now for the IT guys, yeah, we're still recording. Yeah. So for IT guys, now you're back in the room. I just wanted to show you guys again was our security, just specifically for where we're creating the merchandising users and how we're going to utilize who is the manager of who and or so on and so forth. So just to recap on the security groups, I've already created a security group again called merchandising. Yep, and again to create more groups, it's just a simple type in the name of the group there and click insert. Then if we go back to our users now, I've created one for Omnia. You just create, again, the user. And the thing that's going to be different for these guys is that we need to all specify who the manager is. So again, you need to select another user for, in this case, I've put Shekhar as a manager for Omnia. This will allow whoever is the manager of this user to also have visibility of the events for that merchandiser, okay? Because in the events and the time and action, each merchandiser has their own list of events that they need to complete. But in case they are not available or they're off sick and they need someone else to substitute and follow up on those activities, the manager, whoever you list as a manager, will be able to access their list of events and be able to complete those events. So when we're setting up the merchandisers, we will need to make sure when we allocate the name, we specify who the merchandise manager is for each user. Okay?
So proxy?
Proxy is specifically if you want to have another user be able to log in as that user. So for you guys, you won't ever really need to use that. You may want to do it for IT if you want to have IT guys have proxy as the constant user, so you also have the same rights as the administrator. Okay, but for merchandising purposes, we just want to use the manager. Okay. So update, and then obviously also associate the groups that it need to be involved in. So she needs to be merchandiser. Update. And then last but not least, then we also need to go back into our, not security groups, security group rights. And then for the merchandising, I'm not sure what do they need to have access to, merchandiser, Shekhar?
Pre-planning.
Pre-production planning board.
Pre-production planning board.
And that's it. Or so you'd want them to have viewing.
Pre-production event manager.
And then so you want them to be able to set up the activities as well?
I guess not.
Then that's not needed for them. You don't want them to play with the critical path. They might corrupt it.
They might corrupt something. No, pre-production planning.
Just pre-production, and then view only other planning boards.
They can maybe also have access to view the planning board, the high level and low level, only to view. Do not do any changes, but just to look at.
What do you think, which one's side? High level plan and low level planning board. Do they need to have an access to it?
Just to look, just to view, not
yes.
to changes.
View, okay.
So
ده احنا اصلا بس بنتكلم عن المرشندايزرز.
فيو اونلي. فيو اونلي.
لا البلان والمرشندايزر.
ما يبص بس على مش هيستخدموا مثلا.
لا المرشندايزر
ما هو
لا فول ده
So we give them view-only access to the high level? Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going through and ticking that. So they've got high level, and then they won't need access to any of the setup menus, so update, planning, merchandisers. So in this case, where we've got unallocated, that refers to the high level board. Okay. So yeah, I've just got merchandisers, view only. So they don't need access to the low level plans, do they? No. So low level, no access. Okay. Good. And then updates. Okay. So now each one of those users has ability to log in, view the high level plan, and then amend the pre-production planning board as necessary. And then the last bit, obviously, again, is just the frameworks, which I imagine the users themselves will be probably dictate what needs to be done here. But so if we go to our timetables and where we've selected either Levi's, Alpha, or whatever they decide that they need to create it by, we would then specify the responsibility. I've just filled in Saad and Mr. Shaka, but they're going to need to dictate which merchandiser is responsible for which one of these events that we've defined, and then create a template for each one. So I imagine they'll probably give you a massive spreadsheet would be the best way of doing that, to say, here's the activities, here's the customers, and here's my responsible users, okay? So, and then just to change responsibilities, it's just simply select the user from the drop-down. Again, this, once you do it once, and then you just set it up and then leave it to run, and that'll be fine. So at the moment, I'm just going to give this auto up there. Now and that's that done. Now any styles that come in and they associate these timetables to it, that will be under her responsibility. And then her manager will also have the ability to also access these events and see when they need to be done by, and override if in her absence they can also maintain these events. Okay, all clear? Any questions? It's pretty straightforward, nice and simple. Okay. Yep.
One more thing. Do they, at this level, do they need to know how to upload the place to our site, actual site? At least we need to.
Yes. Did Steve create the site? I don't know. Yeah, well, we can send it after if you can log on it. Just give me a second. Because we do have an Azure upload site. So for whenever you do have any queries or you find any bugs within the system and you need help from our support team, they will initially ask you to take a backup of the database and then upload it to our secure Azure website, just so they can use it for analysis and then testing purposes. I'll just check if the details have been set up for you. Okay, no, so when we get back to the UK, I'll make sure that we'll set up your account, and then it's just like a Dropbox folder. You just log onto it and then upload the files, the database files, so our support team can get in contact with you about any bugs. In terms of user security, I think that's it. So again, unless there's any questions that you guys need, no?
Can we continue with reports with them then?
Are we not going to go back to CP?
will show where they are.
Yeah, we'll collect them to find them. Because if we
How long that's going to take?
Actually, do you want us to go through the reports now that we have the IT team here, and then come back to CP in the afternoon, or?
maybe they will leave, and they will distribute all over the factory. We will make a test for 5 minutes,
Okay.
trying to collect them. If we fail,
Okay.
then we.
Then we'll do reporting. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
جمع الناس.
تمام.
Never have, for example, like a courier delay.
Sometimes we have this.
It's not big
But
delay.
we'll delay for 3 to 4 days next.
Well, that's a big delay.
Yeah.
So courier delay as well, maybe.
ممكن تاني. That delay, so they're making again rejection.
Rejection of a.
Yes, a fabric rejection. Yeah.
But
Or
the
color
Oh.
rejection.
Color rejection.
sample rejection. Maybe we send the sample and it's wrong fitting, wrong size
Yeah.
legs. Hello?
Happens sometimes that one activity haven't yet happened, and then it makes the the next activity late because of the previous ones haven't happened.
Yeah.
That could be another reason. So the previous event is late, another reason.
Yeah.
The previous event is late,
Would
so
be
that's
great
why
then.
reports. Don't put that
It's flexible to the next.
it's one general reason that normally we use. Any other reason?
What we can't make the new sample before it's finishing.
Supplier delays for fabrics and trims and accessories, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Strike off.
Sort of rejection. But we had printing and embroidery.
I think we got a decent list.
Yeah, it's
That's a good list.
Others, we can add others.
Yeah, you'll add others
We can
as you
add
go along.
others,
From where we get this clean sheet?
Okay, so again, so that's in the setup, event planning, framework. Then you should go to the analysis tab at the end. Okay?
Is that being recorded?
Yeah, there is. Good recorded.
Also, I send you a guide how to go to every area and set up, but that's just for your eyes only.
Yeah, my IT.
Because the others, anyway, they will not have access to the setup area of the treatment company. So it's only for your
Okay. So let's quickly go back to our planning board. Okay, so while you guys were away, we quickly just tried to stick all this into the system and show you roughly what it would look like, so you have a general understanding of what it looks like in using your events that you've just described to us. Okay, So as you see, we've stuck everything on there. You're pretty much, the most busiest person in the world. You've got a lot of activity to do. So what your general day-to-day with FastReact would be is you log into the system, you come into this board, and then you find your name in the list. You will be able to see everybody's activities. There's no way of hiding that. But you would only ever be able to update your own, okay? So you can see everyone else's progress, but you would only ever be able to change events that have your name against it. So yeah, you'd come in, you double click, and then it drops down all your events. So all your events that you need to be doing in the next couple of days. So at the moment, they're all against a style. So you can see you got your size set samples and comments for these styles. So you'll know that these styles, I need to change up the comments from the customer, or I need to chase up the production guys to make sure they produce my sample so I can send it. And then you go on, scroll down, lab dips, lab dip comments, fit samples, okay? So it's always sorting by the latest first. So all these ones in the past, they're really late, so you need to really action them, do something about them. And then you've got the ones further down, which are all in green, which you've got days, they're all in the future. So you've got time to action those. So that's just one way of looking at them. You can also have it by event as well. So if you wanted to specifically look for all my styles that required lab dips, you could look at this view, find your lab dips here, double click, and then again, it drops down all the styles that require lab dips, and you can see the dates that you need to do them on. Okay? So, and again, as I said, when you do actually send these out and you action them and you're ready to update them, it's quite simple. All you have to do is, on the day of the event, you just double click, then that's going to say it's completed, you hit save, and then you see that little tick there, say that's completed, you've actioned that now. So it will record the day that you did it on, so for any future reporting and analysis of the events, we will see what day it happened on, and we can monitor between what we expected it to happen and when it actually happened, and then we can have some KPIs off the back of that.
This will be active after adding the dates must be finished with this date.
Yes,
okay?
I mean you can.
You don't connect this with the official BO. You need a separate sheet with the samples.
These ones specifically are separate from the official PO,
yes.
Because like I said, they're
will
doing for styles. Yeah.
She will write the delivery date, and this is reflected with the minus days from.
Yes. Yeah. From that date.
From
Yeah.
starting or shipping. Starting in production.
I think so. For the style ones, I think it's a separate day. You enter the key day yourself. But for the production ones, they're all coming from the start of production. So start of cutting.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So the very first, so they work from cutting, then backwards, and then generates how many days we require for each activity. Okay. So those late reasons that we've just added, late reasons and failure reasons, so that you can also add those as well. So if we go to, let's say, one of our no, I don't want to do it. So we want to go to our comments. You can right click on that, and then we say failed event, and then we can update our notes. And then you can say specify the list. Now you should get a list of our failed events, but for some reason it's not coming up. But you would have the list of the ones that we just provided, and you could say fabric rejected or size spec rejected, and then you could select from that list. Unfortunately, it's not working at the moment. I need to look into that. But you would just say okay. And then that obviously adds that to the list. So we can also have, a complete history of all the failures, all the rejections in the audit, and then you'll know when things happened, and then you can look at that trail and see the history of, say, this style, where it is, why has it not been completed, why we've still got things outstanding, okay? Okay, Yeah, so as I showed you earlier before, we also have the thing called what we call expected date. So where we want to actually change the date of an activity to say that, okay, we know that the we've already spoken to the customer, they said they're not going to provide us with the comments when we originally expected. We can obviously go in, right click on the specific style, and then go to set expected date for lab dip comments, and then we can push it out to whenever they've agreed to actually send it to us. So say it's going to be a couple of days from now. Okay, and then we hit save.
In every single one of the lists, and the list, they all need to be ticked. Okay.
Sorry?
And the setup area and the analysis area list, all those events need to be ticked. All that list of reasons need to be ticked, and then we can go back to the setup, so they can pop up. Yeah, tick all of them here, all of them in there, so they are.
Of course. Scroll error, that's it. I thought I did that. I must have not saved.
Save.
Sorry about that.
I don't want to restart the system.
Yeah, I should do it.
Restarting. So then when you go to the late event, it should pop up immediately. No, just go to the late event and then click on it.
No. When you mean save it? No. So I probably have to log out.
Are you right clicking?
I've double clicked it and let me complete it without it.
Just one click?
Yeah. That's what I mean, I probably have to log out to do it.
Yeah.
Log back in again. There we go. Okay. Yep. Okay. So yeah, what we've just done there is we've forced any late reason. So all these activities here that have already gone in the past that are in red, if we were to try and complete any one of these now, so if I was to double click on it to try and complete it, it immediately pops up with the late reasons comment. So if it's a late activity, you must provide a reason as to why this activity was late. You can't just complete it without stating a reason. Okay? So obviously it holds people accountable, and then you've got to justify what's gone wrong. Hence why we need a sort of comprehensive list of just these.
Close the window, it doesn't have a close.
Yeah, you must select an activity. Yeah, you must select a reason, apologies. So we say previous event late, and then we can save it.
How can we write another reason?
Sorry?
How can we write another reason?
So again, to write another reasons, you probably have to go to the IT guys because this will be locked down for you, but they know the area where it is. So we set up event planning, frameworks, and then that analysis window. But you guys won't have access to this area. It would be purely the IT team. So it's Shaka and Thomas. So you just tell them what you need added to the list, and they'll add it for you. Okay, so as I said before, because I'm logged in as yourself, you can see obviously everyone else's activities just so you can monitor what else is going on, where changes may be, where issues may lie. But as I said, you won't be able to make any changes to these activities. You won't be able to actually complete them. So you don't have to worry about somebody else coming in and changing your delivery dates or any of your responsibilities. The only person that would be able to make any changes to your activities is your manager. So in the event that maybe you are ill or you're on holiday, to make sure your activities are still still happening, your manager can log in and they can update your activities for you in your absence. Okay? So that was a nice little brief overview of the planning board. So any questions? Any things you didn't understand you want me to go over? You don't feel comfortable with? Happy with that? Good?
Good.
You going to use it?
How can we change the name?
The name of?
The person who will do this.
Okay, so again, so that we would we're going to probably try and it would be best if you guys provide us with a list of them. Then we'll go through how to change that with the IT guys, because again, that's going to be configuration of system that we don't want every user to have access to. So if you could provide us with like the list of activities with obviously the accounts and then who's responsible for each account, then we can set that up for you. Okay.
Can we have several names for the same stage for let this approval?
Yes. So each person would have their own
For their accounts.
Yes, for their accounts. Right. So yeah, if you just give us a list of the accounts, the owners, and then we can set this up for you. Okay? Good. Any other questions? You good? Perfect.
So, you need the no?
No, we'll just be reporting this afternoon now.
Are the merchandisers also wants to know how to create reports and stuff like that? How to
Are
have
you
a report?
interested,
Yeah.
guys, in how to make the reports?
Okay.
How to design a new report?
It might be useful for them because they need to follow production
لكن
as well
البرامج
of
التقرير
dates.
بيطلع ازاي لو عايز تعرف.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to get the other guys in, or
Sorry?
is there the IT guys? Are they going to join?
Yeah, but you're interested to know.
No, I mean the IT team.
Yeah, from Bahia.
The IT guy, we
Yeah.
have two IT guys.
It's just you two.
Yeah.
No one else. Okay.
One from Bahia and one from Kazan.
Okay.
Perfect.
We can bring
No, it's just if it's just these two, then it's okay.
One super user is enough.
المهم بتاعنا مين العتيق احمد ربنا ان انت عملت
عنده أمير وخالد محمود. عنده أمير وخالد محمود.
شاشة 50 بوصة بدل دي. عشان الحاجات دي فعلا ده واحد نجح 50 بوصة.
اختار سيستم تروح عليهم على طول لو غلطت غير نفس البيت
كل حاجة هتتعدل عن طريق
ما تديلهمش الناس ما تديلهمش الناس.
هتتعدل عن طريق
هو بيقول لك وانس مش عارف كان احنا بس عندنا بس بتاع سيكون بس لكن اي حاجه في انت الويب الدلع اللي احنا بندلعه كل شويه تعديل البورت وكل شويه مش عارف ايه مفيش الكلام ده عندهم هو مره واحده
Okay. Is everyone ready to go? Okay, so reporting in FastReact is nice and simple. It's a basic system of just linear data, so all the fields are like sort of similar to an Excel spreadsheet kind of way. We design our reports all using data that's already predefined from a list of fields. So when we create the reports, it literally is just a nice drag and drop. And I'll walk you through the steps of how we would initially create a brand new report and put pull together the data that we require, okay? So first thing we'll go to in our report window, which is just a little button there at the top, if you can see, just right there. This will open up this select window for you. And then from there, we go to our designer. So what we're going to do is first select new. And then that allows us to give it a name. So definition file, I'm just going to call this one orders for now, because it's just going to be a basic order report. Report group is just a way of grouping together all similar reports, and that's what you see on the first page. So if you want to create a bunch of merchandise reports, you call it merchandising. So I'm just going to call this one orders. And then you can just give it a description. So I'm going to say list of orders. Okay. Then we move down to this section. Now, what we call a loop is basically the data set. So we have already predefined lots of data that is similar or linked together that you can pull from. So you don't have to worry about the technical side of things. You just have to select what data you want, and the system will automatically pull it for you. Okay. So in the main loop, because I'm creating a list of orders report, I will find the one that's most relevant for me, which is going to be orders. So it'll be down here somewhere. Okay, so I've selected orders. Now what that's done here is, in my list of available data fields, it's going to set some of them as blue and some of them as grey. The grey ones means it's not available to this order loop, and then the blue ones means I can select it in my report. Okay. So based on what you've selected at the top, your loop, your data set, that makes that allows you to select certain fields and other fields not. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to do an order report. So the basic information I would want to hold against this report would be things like the order code. So I'd select, again, in this bit here, field group, go to my order, and then again, you get a long list of fields that are in the system and data from the system that you can select in this report. So I want to say, find my order code, which is always, I always forget if it's order code or order name. You'd have to change it. No, it's going to be order. There we go, so order code. So also I want maybe my style. So again, I go to my product select group, and I search in this list for the style code, which I believe is product code. Maybe the description. Give it the type as well, so I know what type it is. Okay. And other things I may want to know, maybe the delivery date of this order. Okay, so I'm going to select that as well. Okay, so that's enough. So again, so you'd probably sit here and go through all the list. There's tons of data that you'll find in this list, and the best way to find out what you want is just click on all of them until you find the data I usually find. So on this side here, it's just showing me all the data fields that I've selected from my list. So I've selected my order code, my product code, description, type, and delivery date for my order. Okay? And then the last bit on the right-hand side is the security. You just want to be able to, you want to select which user groups can actually view these reports. So I'm just going to tick all of them to make sure everybody can see it. And then hit save. Now, this is generated purely the definition file in the background. So now the next step would be to actually design the report. So say which fields go where and the formatting of this report. So to do that, we go back to the select phase, to the select tab, and then we find it in our list. So I put it in the orders group, which you can see just at the bottom there. There you go, there's my list of orders report. I select that, and then again, I select the layout. So if you could do where you have the same data set of fields that you've pulled together, you could have multiple different layouts of the same one, and you would have them in a long list down here, if you wanted to do that. So I'm just going to go with the standard one first. Now the first tab it will take you to is the filters list, but we're not going to touch this just yet. We're actually going to design the layout first. So I'm going to go to the layout tab at the top. Now this may look a bit daunting, there's a lot going on here, but all we're going to do here is effectively select the sequence we want the data to appear in the report. So this is where we show what the report should look like. Okay? So in the first cell, I'm going to select that first cell, and I'm going to move down to here, and then select the data that I want to appear in that cell. So nice and simple, order code. I'm going to move on to the next cell. I want the products code. I might maybe type, switch up a bit. Description, and then a delivery date. Nice and straightforward, very simple, basic, okay? Then the most key important part, then we want to save that layout. Then we go back to this tab here, preview print. So this is going to show us what our report looks like so far. This may take a while. There's a lot of orders in the system. Nice and easy, simple. Our first report. Okay, so again, it's done. It's pulled back everything I've asked for: the order code, the product code, type, description, and then delivery date. Okay, based on all the things I've just selected and applied into my list. So as you can see, this is every single order in the system. That's not what I want to look at. I want to probably filter on certain attributes of this of the orders, so I don't want to just see everything. So that's when I go back into my configure tab. And then from here, I can actually do my filtering. So this is like, for the technical guys, this is your where clause, if you, as a better word. This is where you would filter off, say, I only want to do my deliveries. Okay, and then you see this little icon here? This basically means do not include. All right? So I'm going to say do not include any orders with a delivery date of today. Needs to be in capitals, apologies. Today. There we go. So I want to exclude anything from today, and then today minus 30 days. So effectively, don't include anything in the past. I'm going to run it again. It should reduce the number of results I get. And hopefully everything in this list should now be in the future. See? Nice and easy, nice and straightforward, very simple. Okay? Just pulling back data, filtering data, and designing what that data is going to look like. Okay?
Can we filter special orders?
Yes.
Specific orders.
If you, so for example, if I wanted to filter for a specific order, like this one, CAS120, I can do the exact same thing. So in that filter from, just typing the order code, and there you go, specific order. So those filter fields, you can filter on whatever criteria you've associated to your report, type it into that section, and then it filters down your report. Nice and easy. Okay?
قاري السيستم هو اصلا قاري من السيستم الاي ار بي كل الداتا الاي ار بي هو بيشتغل.
Okay. So as you may have noticed, actually this last column has got 001 instead of the header of delivery date. And that's purely because within the system we actually have the ability to have multiple delivery dates against an order. So like your multiple drops. So you could do that, but in our production plan we're only working to one delivery date, the X factory, right? So you probably want to change that 001 to a more meaningful header. You can do that quite easily by going back to our layout tab, and then we have this, it's a bit cut off there, but you have this here where it says column header, and then you can define the name of the column header yourself. So I'm just going to call it delivery save layout again. Preview print. You didn't click save, did I? Ah, let's repeat itself. There we go. There we go. So let's change it to delivery. So that's basic manipulation and formatting of our report. And then now what I want to do is I'm going to save this as a specific version of this report. So what you can do, like I said, you can create variants of the same data set, and then you can have multiple for the same report. To do that, you can see what we have at the bottom. Again, it's cut off slightly by the screen. We have configuration and then save as. So this one I'm going to save it as specifically for, because it's got my filter of CAS 120, so I'll call it CAS 120. And then once you make a change to this, you always have to run it just to make sure it saves. Then when I go back to my select list, you see I now have a variant called CAS 120. So it will always remember that filter. So I can then run that report every single time specifically for that order if I wanted to. So you don't have to constantly re-enter filters over and over again. You can just save it and then come back to it, and it's remembered everything we've done to it. Okay? So now I'm going to ask you guys a question. What reports would you like to see from this system?
Following the status of the orders.
Okay.
The most
So when you say status, you mean
list of delayed orders in materials and the list of online orders. This is all the reports what we need.
so line? You want to see? So for that last one, you said line and then the orders on the line.
Delay. First report the status of the order.
Okay. So what do you mean?
Cutting it to store.
So the progress. So how many have I cut? How many have I sewn?
First, second, in backend, in SEO, online, in Ireland,
Yep.
in stores, finished. It's okay.
Okay.
This is the most important sheet.
Okay, so I think I should already have something like that created. He says, let me just double check. Planned output. So I'm just removing my filters that I've already associated to this. Okay, so this is one I just created earlier. So what's this going to show me? It's going to be my group, my row code, and then quantity per day. Okay, that's only my planned per day. Let's see what we've got. Okay. Let me configure that. So I'm going to change my group to Kazarine. Just so I can see my Kazarine orders. Oh, that didn't work. Double check that. We've got no orders in Kazarine. Have you not been planning? There's a strip group, I'll see what it says. Just get rid of our filters and see what we come with. So it comes back with additional Kazarine. Okay, so on this one we've got similar to what you requested, but so you've got your Kazarine, you've got your group. Okay, so Kazarine Team 2, your order code, style number, and then quantity we plan on producing per day. So 560 per day. Yeah. So that's one of them. The other one was your late, was it? Would you say your late quantity? You wanted to know?
No, it's already found the order quantity.
Mm. So, which was the other report, sorry?
No, it is about what we need the PO quantity, how many pieces cut,
How many pieces cut? Yeah.
how many pieces finished from still online, how many pieces first IR, first degree.
Okay, so
This is what we call gathering status of
status, order status, yeah.
status of.
So let me check what we've got in here. First delivery date, it's available warehouse, first delivery. Now this may not show any data because we haven't got anything in there, but we'll give it a go. Okay, so that's not good. So yeah, looks like we haven't got any progress so far. Order code, product type, style name, the customer, the order quantity, when it should be delivered,
Delivery.
the actual ship date. Again, we've not got any ship dates yet, purely. And then you cut, balance to cut, sewing. Is that what we mean?
Yeah.
Yep. Again, to start, and then that should be to start packing, balance. Yeah. Fortunately, obviously, because we haven't done the production updates yet, but this is what you would see. So you would see the number of your cut pieces, how many's left to cut, how many you've got to sew, how many you've got left to sew, and so on through the. Yep.
That's good.
Is there a way to change the header of the report?
Yes. So that's what we did again on the actual this bit here. Yeah. So you can actually, well, we can't change that bit unfortunately, but you can change this bit.
With daily status?
Yeah. So we.
And the left-hand side?
So left-hand side, that's fixed. That's always there. we like to
Fixed?
we like to hand it.
Oh, you have to print the company name
Yeah, exactly.
in every report.
Yep.
Ah, man, no coming, man.
Can we add the percentage here?
Sorry.
Can we add the percentage of cutting to original BO?
To original PO. So
If we
cut to order.
if she cut.
Yep. So again, that's one of our standard reports I've got an example of. So that's one of our KPI reports. So we call that cut to order. Again, cut complete order progress. I will remove these filters purely because I know we've not got any. Layout. Just double check what fields we got. Progress. What we're doing is just making minor amendments to this existing report, just so it gives us roughly the right data anyway. Save, print. Obviously, because like I said, we haven't done any production updates, so you're all in the minuses. So it'll give you the order quantity, your cut quantity, garments overcut or shortcut, and then as you can see, we're all minus at the moment. And then it'll give you a percentage. So at the moment, our percentage for everything is 0 because we've not cut anything consistent. But this gives you what you're looking for? Is this
Yes.
what you mean? So yeah, these are just our standard reports that we hand out. So as soon as you start to plan more orders in the system and go through the practice tests, you'll be able to run this report and then see exactly the information you want. Okay. Merchandisers, any reports?
The production status report.
What is status?
Doesn't-
Yeah. So you
Where
don't
did it?
the reports for yourself.
And what daily report is the most
Most important.
The most
The one where you can see the progress of each one.
up and
Yeah.
she
So we've already
has to
thought of
make
it.
a backing list.
Be careful, this is per order. They might
She
need
can
to
put
see
it-
it per color.
Choose some certain orders to make the work report.
Mm. Yeah.
Order.
Yeah, we can do that.
Can they see it per color and size?
Do we have the color and size in there? No, because we don't hold that information.
Order is size.
It's already
The
covered.
order color we have. I can't remember what the color. Also have a code.
We don't have that.
No, we
We
don't.
can add it as a UDF.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we could add that as a separate field, and then you could filter on it. Yeah, so we could do.
We must add the size and color, which
Yeah.
is important.
So is this color and size against the order?
Color and
Yes.
size again.
Color and size is already found in the order.
Okay. But would you want it by breakdown of quantity? So you'd want to see my quantity against this size?
Yeah.
so
Starting
unfortunately-
from the work order,
Yeah.
it's breakdown per color and size, and then the production update is per color and size.
But on this, so this is just for one. Is that one color, one size?
No, this is maybe one
This
color, multiple.
maybe 4 colors.
Mm.
4 colors this order.
In this one works order?
Maybe, yeah.
Within the same works
Maybe
order?
4 colors. And 7 sizes per color.
So you'd have the full breakdown. Okay, at the moment we don't have the
Most
color.
probably all of them are one star,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, so
One
it would
order,
all
one
be, yeah,
star.
it has to be one
One
star.
order, one star.
Yeah, that's a must. Okay. I'm just thinking. So the color we can do, so the color we can add in the UDF as a separate field, and then you can report on. It's just the size. Because adding the size to it would make all of this 10 times smaller, unfortunately. But we were sending the order sizes, but I thought we said we didn't need it anymore, no?
Order is easy.
In the interface?
In the interface, I guess.
I think, did we not remove that file?
No, let me check.
Okay, yeah, we can, if you're sending it again, we can then obviously add that back to the order, it's no problem. Anything else? No?
No. Thank you.
Nice and simple? Easy? Okay, question at the back. You're not allowed to ask questions. You work for FastReact.
Can you please show them how to schedule a report?
I will leave that for the IT guys. These guys don't need to know that.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's another thing actually I should have mentioned. These reports, so again, so when you've actually generated the reports from system, you can email it directly if it's from the system. So you don't even, so if you just hit the email button, obviously you will need to have the list of email addresses in there, and then it can send directly as a PDF attachment if you want to. So are we still sending the order sizes?
Yeah, I want to hear this.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, no, sorry. So yeah, the button there allows us to email reports. So then, obviously, they will have to have a username, email account in the system created. Then you can email it directly to the managers or whoever it may be.
Email it directly and scheduling an email.
Yep. So we can schedule emails as well. So that one we do separately. So again, if you remember where we did the scheduling at the start of the week, so we go to Setup, Activity Scheduler, and then it's just one of these. So export or report in this, maybe. You say which one you wanted to send out, and then you can schedule that.
Yeah, but you need to have a one criteria, assuming you do the criteria during the printing the report. Printing.
Do you want to change the criteria?
The criteria, the filtering criteria.
So the filtering criteria, yeah, you would need to have already defined that against the variant of the report. So if you say, for example, you wanted to send TCP reports about the TCP orders.
During period, for example.
Yeah, so you would already have to associate that criteria to the report, and then create a variant of the report called TCP for 1 month, and then it will automatically send for that period. So you can't, if you're scheduling the report, you can't specify the criteria
Yeah.
after, obviously, it's sent.
Yeah, logic.
But if you're doing it manually, so if you're emailing the report manually, you can make whatever criteria you want.
Because the filter criteria change if you're
Yeah,
every time you need to select a different period for it or a different client.
yeah.
You couldn't do a
So for the-
multiple
no.
report for each one of the buyers.
No. So in those examples where you're doing it for customers, I imagine you would do it one by one when you needed to, because you don't have a set period of when you need to run them. So you run them as and when you need it. However, the ones that you would schedule are more like the daily task list or the daily production schedule for cutting. You may want, because that's one period. It's always the same, criteria. So you can schedule those kind of reports. Those are the ones you want to schedule. Okay. Good. So.
Can we change the layout of the report?
So the reports, we're limited on the layout in terms of it has to sort of be like that column Excel type based report. You can't really design them as much as you want, but you can change the sequence that they appear in. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, so you can change the sequence, yes, you can do that. Yeah. Cool?
Do you have a graph report?
Sorry?
Graph report?
Not standard. We do have one, but that costs slightly more. Yes, that's a licensed option. So the standard reporting tool is just the Excel format, but if you wanted the graphical one, you would have to speak to Sheka, who would speak to Nigel, and he will talk money. He will charge you for it.
You are able to export it to Excel?
Yeah, so you can export this data to Excel, yeah. And then from there you could actually use the Excel data to feed charts and maybe like Excel powered dashboards. So yeah, you can do it that way. So so thank you for your time. I think you've got all your handouts, I think, and mouse press, yeah. With the cheat sheet, as we like to call it, so in case you forget any of the colours or what anything means, nice little slide on board how to use it.
We are finished also.
Yes, yeah. So yeah. Actually, I think Jenny did want to speak to you specifically, though, in terms of the blueprint.
I use that.
Yeah, she.
Stay.
you must stay. Everyone else can go, but you have to stay.
فين؟ هذا بالايجيبشن.
Yeah, the order is
Sorry. So you're still sending it?
yeah.
Okay, so that's fine.